So, let me thumbs up and let me explain that. Today we're working with pairs driving. It's a nice day. We've got the cross-check drive lines on already. The two horses, Eve and her daughter Sadie, standing there nicely, half asleep. We're starting where we left off last time in working here at what we call HVD West in pairs. The last time we had the cross-check drive lines on, the horses did fine. They were starting to go forward 4 or 5 steps, then they started to separate. And we do have the spreaders on, but we were afraid there'd be a yank on one or the other and they'd spook and we'd have a wreck. So we stopped. We have done some exercises over in a different place to train them to go hips over and shoulders over towards each other. But we don't know if we've trained them enough. The best way to know is to try again as safely as we can. And I have to tell you a story, a quickie. Are you guys standing okay? I was watching on RFD yesterday 2 horses pulling in pairs, a big wagon full of hay in the snow. And the fellow that does the driving with these 2 horses, jokingly said, but it was true, a true story, he said, oh, the last time I did this with 2 pairs of horses, the front team went right and the back team went left, and the whole wagon tipped over, and he was laughing about it. Well, for me, that is far from a laughing matter. I'm doing everything I possibly can to avoid a wreck. Preventing Wrecks is a DVD put out by Doc Hamill from Montana. He has decided that was an important enough topic also to make his own, I think it's a 2-part series, and Preventing Wrecks was on RFD TV on Rural Heritage. Everything we can do to prevent wrecks. And you know horses, they're prey animals. They sometimes don't think, they get right-brained, and especially if they feel pressure, something keeping them from fleeing, which is what they often want to do when they're scared, they'll get even more scared. And they're big animals, so sometimes you lose control. Let's see how we do today as safely as we can. Okay, and I am going to take this buggy whip, which is an arm extension, and hope to be able to intervene with maybe a visual block if we have to. If we feel that it's not safe to continue with this plan, we're going to take the cross-check drive lines off. We're going to leave the harnesses on. We're going to lead line them to the place where we work on the exercise that we've already introduced in the show, hips over, shoulders over, but we'll have drive lines on as well as halters on. Last time we just did it with halters, and it was a cold, windy day about to rain. So being that it looks like we're between storms now, we're gonna have, we think, weather on our side. Okay, now Katie has a mic on, and she is leading Sadie, the youngster. If anybody's gonna get right-brained, it's most likely to be Sadie. Angela has not done the cross-check drive lines in movement, have you?
No.
No, but she knows how to put them on. She just put them on by herself, and we have another show recently that showed exactly what you have to do to put them on. Aaron and Eve know each other quite well, and he's holding the halter lead line on Eve, the mother. Okay, and Eve did have an abscess the other day. She has caballos and a wrap on her right rear, but she hasn't been lame at all for a couple days. We're just leaving the abscess wrap on until we are quite confident, maybe one more day, that we can take it off. Okay, but she can do this walking, it's no problem. Not one bit of indication that she's having any pain in that right rear. We opened it up right away. Fortunately, my farrier came out the very next morning and we opened it up. We found it with hoof testers and opened it up. Okay, so I'm going to let Katie, in as loud a voice as you can without spooking the horses, let everybody here on the team know what you're asking the horses to do.
Step up.
We want their hips to stay together. We want them parallel.
Off.
Josh, why don't you stop? I can't tell you how pleased I am with that. I am going to call that my note of resolution. Someday we want to do that without somebody at the head. But did you see how they stayed together? They stayed close together. Their hips are a little bit apart, but nothing like they were last time we tried this. Do you agree, Katie?
Yeah.
And that's why you decided to go on?
Yeah.
We had to make a split-second decision? Okay, good. It looks like our exercises have been helping to communicate. She just touched, Katie just touched Sadie's hip with the arm extension, and Sadie moved her hip over towards Eve. So this is a short segment because we're stopping on a note of resolution. I grant you only one time, but it gives us confidence that we'll be able to repeat it in the very near future. And then, Angela, you can be, and Aaron, you can be taking the rig off, the harnesses off.
Is Eve all disconnected from the driving?
Yeah.
Oh, very good to ask that. Even Doc Hamill said, you know, I've made that horrible mistake. Okay. As soon as they're tied up, let's go and do a postscript. You want to come over here and get it, Stan? Our postscripts are very instructive. Disconnected the horses from each other or from whatever they're pulling. We have a postscript. We're talking about things. We want you to know what we're talking about after the pressure's off. And Katie had, and Aaron had an interesting observation that I wasn't even aware of. And Katie, can you explain it about Eve picking up pace?
Eve was the one who kind of started speeding up, going around the corner, and she does walk faster, and she was on the inside, so that could have been all it was. But was she looking back at the cross-check lines?
Yeah, she kind of raised her head.
She was raising her head and looking at the cross-check lines, so they were spooking her more than Sadie.
Okay, and Aaron, who when he first came to me didn't have any experience with this kind of task, I've given him a whole lot of advice about where to hold the lead line, how to apply the pressure, not constant pressure, but little tugs, always thinking, always watching the body language, watch the speed of the feet, watch the ears, watch the bulge of the eyes, see if the horse is blinking or not, because if a horse is in stress, they won't even blink their eyes. It's physically, they're built to become bulgy-eyed and watch for this thing that they're afraid of. So everybody on this team today did excellently, and I'm awfully proud to show you that we're making progress in pairs driving for farming